Let's get it now to our next guest, and I think Doug has the honors
he is
of
Sam
introducing him.
Caiucci. He is the CEO of One Huddle. We're going to talk about how some of the companies in the global marketplace today are really facing challenges when it comes to upskilling, as it were, their employees. Sam, pleasure to have you on the program.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Rashad.
So when you survey the labor market right now and the skill sets that are out there in abundance relative to the needs that these corporations have, what kind of gap are you seeing, if any?
Yeah, I think we got a major, we got a major challenge today that companies are faced with. I think it has some part to do with the fact that, we have a workforce today that has been skilled up for a workforce and a labor market that maybe is not present anymore today. I think part of that is definitely a challenge. But I think the bigger problem today has to do with the fact that jobs are changing faster than we've ever seen. And a lot of the brands that we work with and interact with are struggling to keep their workers skilled up as those jobs shift.
Yeah, of course, we're not just talking about the gig economy. We're talking about people not necessarily having one job or indeed having one place of work, correct, Sam?
Correct. I think if you look at retail or you look at restaurant jobs or you look at frontline labor, you talk about because of not just automation or, scary robots and all that other stuff, but even just augmentation of jobs. You have an overwhelming majority of jobs are going to have a tremendous part of their tasks and activities change in the years ahead. So, I think as jobs are shifting, as the market is changing, whether, again, you see it in environments where employees are high churn and high turnover, companies are really, really sensitive to the fact that at a time when our labor market is what it is, we have to keep employees on the same page as fast as possible. It's something brands are really sensitive to today.
So what's the prescription? Is this something that the education system should address? Is this something that corporations should really be promoting and perhaps doing a little bit more internal re-education? I mean, who bears the responsibility for closing the gap?
Yeah, I think we got to stop. We got to stop pointing the blame at colleges and education universities. I think the reality is that they're going to, those apparatuses are going to move as fast as they move. I believe that we need to start to hold the HR job function more responsible with our labor force. Whether you're a middle market or a large enterprise, big companies have put a tremendous amount of time, effort, money, resources into the human resource function to be responsible for the most important item on the balance sheet, which is the labor force. We need to embrace a world where, guess what, the frontline worker, the middle manager within our workforce is probably in as equal a position to be able to influence the way their job is shifting and communicate that effectively across work. I think there's just too many chips being put on HR, and we're struggling because of it.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about how China fits into all this, because if we had a more productive workforce, is your argument here, then that would slow down the impact of moving things to China or indeed elsewhere, I'm thinking.
Well, I think, because of what's happening with the trade war, you have a scenario where costs in certain sectors, whether that's retail or footwear, are going to get passed down to the customer. And when you pass costs down to the end consumer, you create a friction point where our frontline workers, whether that's retail associates coming up on the holiday season, are going to be forced to be put in a position where they're going to have to do better. If a piece of luggage goes from being, $150 to $200 without a change in the way we're skilling a retail sales associate, we can't really believe that the retail associate is going to be as effective at closing a sale or interacting with a customer. So I think the big impact is it's going to put a bigger strain on workforce, which is going to make the leading brands are going to be the ones that react to that accordingly when it comes to training and reskilling.
So, Sam, give me some anecdotal evidence here. A few examples of companies and how they're investing in their employees and expanding current skill sets.
Yeah, one of the companies we work with at One Huddle is Tapestry Brands, and they represent Coach, Kate Spade, Stuart Weitzman. About 6 months ago, went very aggressive, Tapestry, into investing in new technologies to be able to meet employees where they are. So we're talking about reskilling employees. And in a lot of these environments, the technology we're using today is still print, paper, manual, and online learning module. And brands like Tapestry have invested in mobile technology to meet retail associates in and around work so that they're knowledgeable in different product SKUs and product specs when they talk to customers. You're seeing this in certain brands also in the restaurant category who, because there's a high friction point between the customer and the employee, we have to keep employees skilled up to be able to say the right thing in the moment to the customer, even though content's constantly changing.